force because it's just kind of obvious. But this kind of round, and a lot of what I've seen throughout this major has actually inspired me to say the T-sides are getting better, but still not quite enough to get over the line.
Yeah, things got very chaotic as we moved further into that T-side 4, Team Spirit. We touched upon him earlier. I mean, Mezzi was kind of one of the only sole representatives of Vitality for the majority of this regulation. And round 23, I think, epitomizes just how important it was for him to be showing up hot today.
I hope every single member of Vitality were congratulating Messi and saying thank you for keeping us alive, thank you for giving us a chance. Round 23 is a great example of that. Messi had a lot of impact both in the first half but also second half, but in a very crucial moment, right? Vitality are down 12-6. They have to monster a comeback. You see Saivu step it up, you see Apex finding impact, but it's still Messi who were driving that train. Round 23, great example of such. Again, a very close moment in this game. I feel like when Messi is playing at this level, it's not necessarily always a good sign, Maui, but he bought them enough time. He bought them enough of a leeway to get back into this game.
Narrative drivers in the Counter-Strike space is, of course, the rating that HLTV gives to people. And when they decided to make the switch from 2.1 to 3.0, it seems like just a lot of mumbo-jumbo numbers to many casual fans, but it's one that actually gave a lot of credit to Mezzi. One that, even though he doesn't always pop off the page with the highest kill count, the highest in terms of ADR, anything like that, the round swing. He is consistently putting his team in positions where they are disadvantaged and bringing them back to advantage ones. That round especially, able to keep his cool on bomb site anchor positions, tough holds. That's where we really see the value in a guy that is simply overqualified to be playing some of the quote-unquote worst positions player could be in.
Yeah, I like that you bring that up, because by no means is he in the most glamorous, you know, highlight yielding spots, but he almost always consistently gets the job done, and that's why for Mezzi, I feel like, you know, he's one of the unsung heroes of Vitality when he can pull off maps like this.
100%, and you hear that from Apex as well, and you hear that from as well. They always make sure to give him enough praise and always say, basically, thank you for being willing to take some of the most, I guess, unsexy positions you can play in Counter-Strike. He is a bit overqualified because he did come from Fnatic where he was both in-game leading, he was the star player, he was the fragger, he could do it all. Some players have to do that, and I feel like Messi also bought into the premise that if you want to play on Vitality, you want to win trophies, you want to win majors, then that is the role you can occupy within the team, and he's it. I think there's certain moments where obviously you could always ask more from a player, but for the vast majority of the time, Messi is doing a stellar job.
In contrast to some of the support elements of Spirit that simply don't always show up, I feel like Mezzi is way more rock steady in that regard. He's really been always praised when he was coming up in the space as being a guy that's ready and willing to learn, very coachable, so he's never going to have too big of an ego. Whereas on the side of Spirit, I mean, I'm looking dead its way here. I mean, this is a guy that had his best map in a Spirit jersey practically in the quarterfinals versus Falcons, but then was nowhere to be found. A guy that still creates losing conditions for Spirit when they need him to just be the stable force that Mezzi is on the contrary.
Okay, I feel like we've done our job of the hard-hitting analysis. Do you want to have some fun for the moment? Round 32, what the
A1S in towards middle. I think it's Donks M4 A1S as well, and maybe that works better. And then somehow, some way, wins a 1v3. I don't know what Saivu is doing in this position, giving up his head, but, you know, well played to Chopper. At this moment, that could have been a round that would have won Spirit the game. It's insane, and I don't even know how to describe it. You know, Shiro was laughing, Chopper was laughing. I don't know why he was running around in CT spawn with no gun, Maui, but maybe you have a guess.
Sometimes when Zipnix, as the clutch minister, would be in these kinds of situations, the opponents would just make bad plays. You couldn't explain it. I don't know how Chopper instills that sort of fear into Vitality, but it did just happen. But that's the mayhem of overtime, double overtime. You get players that are making mistakes and all over the place, and it's really more about punishing sometimes than creating an opportunity.
Oh, it was absolutely insane. Fair play to Chopper for somehow miraculously finding a rifle and pulling that one off. Either way, we are on the precipice of Spirit's map pick. That is Dust 2. What's your take on Spirit actually bringing this one into the pool?
See, I get why they picked it, because last time they played Vitality, they beat them 13-11. Donk had a great showing, Shiro had a great showing, so we talk win conditions, obviously going the way of Spirit. I'm just going to throw out some numbers right here. I don't want to make the conclusions, but maybe you do, or the viewers at home can do it. Vitality for 2025 have played Dust 2 33 times, and they won 9 times. Right? Easily the best and most consistent map they have in the map pool. In the last 3 months, on average, in 8 games, they've given up 6 rounds to their opponents on the map. And that includes the game against Team Spirit, where they obviously got 13. Also, last time Spirit beat Vitality 13-11, very close game, ZywOo had his worst individual performance per rating in 36 games. So if you're Team Spirit and that's the best you could come up versus Vitality, I fear for you.
I would not envy being in the middle seat in the Spirit lineup right now. I feel like Chopper has already shown his hand back in Hong Kong when they defeated Vitality. We had a great activation from Tanir on the lurks. It was nice to see him coming to in terms of becoming an asset to the Spirit team, going out long at the right timings, actually sometimes blindsiding ZywOo as he's on those A defenses, but it's going to be hard to replicate that. Catching Vitality off guard once is already a monumental task. Doing it a second time when they've seen your whole game plan prior to this one, that's just impossible. It's nearly impossible.
Нормально слышно? Раз. Микрофон далеко был, походу.
The demeanor between Donk 1 year ago in Shanghai, just gallivanting across the stage after a victory versus a just broken FaZe clan is vastly different than what we are getting here. This is a guy that is aged 10 years in the span of 12 months. Even looking at his face, it looks different. Like, you're getting a guy who now knows how serious this is. Whereas last year, it was almost an attitude where everything was so nonchalant, where Katowice, Cologne, the major, it all felt like he was just eventually going to rack up all of those trophies. It almost felt like he was taking it for granted, but all of a sudden, there was a switch that is clearly flipped for him, where now he recognizes that he is in his prime right now, and his team was not there with him when he was finding all of those openers, posting up over 100 damage per round in that last map, and he needs more. He needs more from his team here.
100% odds are now pretty heavily favoring Vitality coming into this one as well. Do you think that is the truth, Jake?
I think so, you know, by everything that we know and we've seen from Vitality throughout the year, but also as of recently on Dust 2, it's definitely a map that they can go toe-to-toe with Spirit on. I also do think that if you're Harley and if you're Spirit right now, your finest job, and I don't want to simplify Counter-Strike too much, right? But it all starts with Dom. If he's tilted, if he's not in the game anymore, if he's not locked in, even though he's the king of being locked in, then there's no way they win Dust 2, right? So the first thing you gotta make sure, if you're
будет Overpass.
Harley between map
На
1 and map 2
Overpass
is to convince Dom to still stay focused, still stay locked in, and then you can divide it out. Then you can talk to Shiro, then you can talk to Tanir, then you can talk to Sway, who last time he played Dust 2 versus Falcons had an awful lot of impact, but it all starts and ends with Donk. If he's not in the game anymore, because we did see him being visibly frustrated, I very much agree with what you said, Maui. He had a fantastic showing on Mirage, but the team didn't back him up. It is so tough from an individual player to stay locked in, to stay believing that that's not going to be the case here on Dust 2 as well. But that is the finest job, but not only Donk right now, but also Harley behind him. Get Donk locked in, and then everything else can follow.
Познакомимся, пообщаемся.
Team Spirit, what are you expecting in terms of some of the executes, some of the approaches?
Я не
of this
мешаю
kind of,
смотреть.
new look, Team Spirit
Чисто тоже любительско смотрю.
Я
не комментирую, вы и так все видите.
Similar plays. They get map control pretty well towards Catwalk. They love to send Donk out first on some of those swings, and that's when Tanir needs to activate. Again, last time they played against each other, Tanir really popped off in terms of finding long timings to catch the A-lurk or the A-hold off guard, to catch Flamesy at long, to catch ZywOo in the side of the head.
У меня будет переходик такой небольшой, который я готовил сегодня.
Because Flamesy's just going to stay completely posted now. He's not going to let Tanir sideswipe him whatsoever, and so I want to see even nuke on their two sides where they throw some misdirection.
Как же мне это нравится.
Doesn't happen nearly as often.
Сегодня вот я обложку заказал у дизайнера, короче, и вот эти переходы заказал, он сделал по-быстрому. Бабки заплатил. Ради тебя, Рязанчик, все это. Ради моего единственного постоянного зрителя уже третий день.
And we have seen Spirit as well. They love to end towards the B bomb side. They love a good B split. They love a B execution as well. So if you're Vitality, if you actually win a pistol and convert, and you can get hold of a double op setup, I think that's one way to shut down some of that
уже 3
pressure.
человека смотрят. Здорово, ребят. Подписывайтесь, напишите, поставьте лайк. Поддержите, я начальник стрима, начинающий стример, точнее, начальник, начальник даже. Начинающий стример.
After that loss, but I think that an angry Donk isn't necessarily a bad thing for Team Spirit. He could come into this server with a vengeance for Vitality.
I mean, Donk's unflappable. We see it in the consistency. It doesn't matter emotionally what he shows us. No matter what, he always delivers. He's the most consistent player. He's the best player so far this year. He's put up stats that we've never seen before, and this is his best map. Dust 2. He's the king of it. This year, a 1.61 rating across the entire year.
It's unbelievable.
12 months of 1.6 ratings here on Dust 2. And yes, the only loss that Vitality have in recent memory is on this map.
Те люди, которые смотрят через шортс, переходите на основную. У меня еще основной стрим идет. Можете на полном экране смотреть. А почему-то в шортсе не могу разобраться, что как. Потому что я вроде бы все настраивал в шортсе, а там у меня нет, на ютубе нет.
You saw the breath he took. I think he feels he's happy to be on Dust 2 because he doesn't have to rely on them as much. Unfortunately, he was angry in a way that we've all been able to relate to.
Начинается.
But again, unflappable.
Смотрим.
It's never affected him before.
Let's see what he can bring to the table versus a Vitality up a map.
По 250 не точно. Почему суициды стреляют со шопа шире?
Might one day just be the best player in history.
Versus what might be the best team in history.
Oh my God.
Не увидели. Разве не увидели? Нормально. Ну, Team Spirit свою, конечно, коронную будут использовать в этом дасте. Они всегда хорошо в шорт проходят. Двоих, как всегда, Б. Дюркера играют. Ай! Просто все полетели.
That's the big number for him so far this series. So many multis, but not just two.
Зрители мои, пожалуйста, кроме Рязанчика, напишите. Познакомимся, я ее запомню. Так как у меня зрителей немного, я запоминаю.
That's what his round looks like, right? Thrown off of the catwalk, jumps into the smoke, kind of pinned between two CT players. Vitality were in the right position. And I think that pays credit to the pistol stat that Pimp brought to the table. I'm so sorry, Jacob.
It's pronounced simple.
At the beginning of this, you know, Vitality's strong start's been a driving factor for their success. Well, they get one after losing both over on Mirage.
It's because Simple replaced him on Liquid.
Oh, that's where it is. Okay, yeah.
Well, speaking of pimples, let's see if they can pop this B side open.
Rob sits back on the boxes, ready for it. Should be easy. Flashbang doesn't really disrupt the setup. Robs and Mezzi happy to get into the exchange. Good on Don to get something going.
Oh, maybe they can.
Yeah, there it is, right? I think the ferociousness
Чудо не случилось.
will hopefully for
Я
Spirit's
думал,
sake get
хедшоты
unleashed.
пропишется.
A
Ладно.
couple Desert Eagle kills. Let's Donk kind of vent his frustrations.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be.
And the guns are coming.
When the rubber meets the road for Donk and he gets these connections and he starts to get rolling, you know, in the end, he only cares about the actual winning the map. I mean, obviously, if he cared about his own personal success, he would have been happy because on Mirage, he was the star of the show. He was incredible. Made plays like you've never seen every single day as we're getting used to here. But the result was Vitality leaving Spirit in the mud. 2 pistols to Team Spirit, conversions, 5-0 start the second half. 6th round comeback to get to overtime. 19-17 finish for Vitality.
Man.
That is the kind of thing that'll keep you bitter.
You are painting a bleak picture, Launders. And that frag grenade's gonna paint the Xbox with Team Spirit. Tanir, good recovery onto Mezzi out middle at least. This will be a Spirit fighting every round to try to shake off the disappointments of Mirage. You know, you put Vitality through the washing machine with the start on Mirage. You had them grasping at anything to kind of stop that free fall. I don't know if Team Spirit could survive a start like that. So this 3 versus 4 set up on the catwalk. Zai was going to try to press the M4 up against this pack. They're ready to come through. And Zywoo's ready to hold them back. Body blocking them, lining it up. Oh. That one made easy. Zywoo's gonna charge it.
Просто не везет.
Another triple for Zywoo.
Tally up to 3Ks right now for Zywoo, man. It's been a clip farm for him this series. On CT sides, at least since the comeback began. Everything before that, they've got it right off. Took a little bit of time to warm up, that's for sure. But look at him. He's just the king of timing. He made it look so effortless as well.
Я придумал один пиар-хоп. Я думаю, до января у меня должно быть минимум 1000 подписчиков. Я так думаю, если, конечно, я буду заниматься этим. Мне просто надо заняться этим. Чтоб меня КС-индустрии узнали.
Nobody can maneuver a system like him and never make it look like he's taking some overt risk to save the day. You know, when Donk drops sandwich and gets a 3K, Zywoo might try that once in a while, but ultimately he never feels like he has to. It's already the round in his favor in general. It's prescience, honestly. So,
как минимум 5-0 будет.
And even though Donk got that 2 for Zywoo, and even though Donk got that 2K on the Deagle, the 3 deaths that Vitality have given them, I think they're already salt-inducing.
Sent back into the pistols here for round 4.
Так, мид никто не играет. 2Б, 2А, 1 лонг.
What's it all going to be worth to him? Yeah. You know, to him specifically, his own self-worth.
Oh, someone working this hard on Dust 2 all year just for it to be the map you get eliminated on? Yeah, that's not going to feel good.
You know, I don't even know if Donk likes winning. I think he just hates losing.
All the grades feel the same.
Frag grenade for his teammates. Trying to take shelter in place. We hit the minute mark.
Но это читаемо, они постоянно шорт играют.
If you are Team Spirit. Belt of utility for Zway to try to get it going. Chopper at least has made it to the other side of the door. As killing Mezzi here could make it awkward. Mezzi's going to remain cautious as fire pops in front of the cat push. Zywoo almost caught. He's going to get taken down by the Tech-9. Apex is here for the recovery, though. His 3rd and 4th frags found. Tech-9s continue to tear it up. And there is this close proximity of Shiro.
Бомбу.
Unfortunately for Shiro, Glock in hand.
Ай, не успел.
Denies the bomb plant. Team Spirit, fine. No silver lining, barring those couple of kills.
The stats that we got coming into Mirage showed us that Vitality are going to start fast there. I mean, now we're getting that start here on Dust 2.
Давай, давай, давай. Не, это, конечно, будет. Сейчас мажорчик закончится.
Team Spirit had a death grip on it.
Меня сейчас мажорчик больше интересует.
That was Vitality's map pick. This is Spirit's. But like we said before, there's no free maps in this series.
And there wasn't back when they met in Hong Kong not long ago either. Nail biter of a series. Finest margins to separate these teams right now. Vitality feeling a step ahead. Right now we've got pressure down into the tunnels though. Mezzi, this is awkward for a second. Doesn't panic on the fallback though, and that's a beautiful way to draw Donk down into the smoke and sit him onto 17 health.
That was so sweet to activate those HEs. I'm almost sad that the kill.
Минута 23 секунда, просто хаешку, что этот нижний темку кидает и все. Донк получает урон. Это уже читаемо. Каждый раз. Вчера то же самое было. Не вчера, а позавчера.
Caught him with that smoke break, jumping up Xbox. Caught him jumping into CT on that pistol. That's time to kill him when he's not looking at you.
You know, shades of Mirage in the sense that we were praising Donk for his hot start at the cost of Zywoo's opening momentum. Tables have turned here for map 2.
Oh, they're trying to play brash, actually. Yeah, he ran back and then pushed again. This smoke.
Все, пушим. Но это кар не читается постоянно, имба позиция. А, нет, не смог. Донк, попади. Все, попали. Ай, ой, красавцы просто.
Dude, that Mirage smoke was a 4D fake. Beautiful stuff. They were so confused by it. even though Flamesy had made that push. Every kill comes down. Love to see Tenir on the board again.
Dog, look at the health that makes the difference. Single point of HP for Tenir.
Damn, well, you don't bleed out in this game.
And Donk was, worried. I believe it was him over towards the tunnels trying to keep pressure on the platform player. Rob thought he could just keep his head tucked, and then Tenir just bends a bullet around tall box in sight to kill him. So 5 rounds into play.
1 HP is a mindset.
And we've got Spirit on the scoreboard.
Hot action in that one, hard to follow. A lot of moving pieces. Everything coming into play at the exact right moment. And again, as pointed out, the health bars, relevant. Tenir down to 1, and then, boom, put together that shot.
Шире угорает.
High spirits. Try to keep the mood light. Try to convert this second round.
Again, one of the few. Wow, another push early, and it's so pointed. He knows that it's gonna work. He does it this early.
What about this one though? Dangerous game here for ZywOo. Oh, Sway gives him a taste of the AK-47.
It's so hard to make ZywOo pay for a move like that.
Все, пушим Б.
They go back, try to steal this gun.
Rob slays the smoke down. Lets him know that there is a second defender. Doesn't want that whole pack of players to pounce on him right now. Because look at the
Просто
radar.
вот зачем Сити закрыли? Все, идите пушьте, одного убили. Не понимаю. Зачем вы теряете время?
And even though they've let this push come through, Chopper still keeping an eye on it.
Я даже в ММе просто вот одного убили в Б, все, мы туда заходим. Быстро. Числом давим. Они в минус сделали и все.
Trying to keep the pressure on through middle. Mezzi losing vision as that 3-player core looks to take it into the B site. Great coverage here from Zwei. That is 3 kills.
Ой, лучше, просто лучше.
Instant headshots for the first 2 deny ZywOo that walk into the tunnels and will indeed give Team Spirit the runway for consecutive round wins.
As Zwei figured out both sides of this map now,
короче, чекай, брат. Будет 5-7 в пользу Vitality.
He had that ace on the B side. He had multiple holds, by the way. It wasn't just that ace. That was just the cherry on top. And on the attack, he actually struggled a lot. Falcons crushed in that first half on CT side, and Zwei could not get kills. So a great round for him here on the attack. Now we're really seeing Spirit win without Donk right here. Again, it's 2 kills of the Deagle frags that he got, non-consequential.
Зачем идут просто...
Maybe the rest of the team about to kind of prove to him their worth. Gives him more time to shake it off. I think that's just a good adjustment as well from Team Spirit, right? Giving themselves enough time to be able to adapt to figuring out that stack over towards A site kind of felt likely on top of having no long control. And we've seen Vitality push the limits of middle. Mezzi locked in lower tunnels, for example. But in that round, no resistance meant the clear path over towards B.
The whole irony was they couldn't have done a better job of getting an opening kill easily, taking out Flamesy on the push. But now it felt like they were moving into an emergency move of getting over towards B, when in reality, this was the only 4v1 they had on the map. It was actually Vitality who needed to reinforce a little bit. Chopper dying was the best thing to happen to this round for Spirit. They would have run into a really heavily stacked A site.
We kind of saw that on Mirage. Remember Zwei jumping into the B site with the MAC-10?
Right.
Find that information.
Yes, we'll say he scouted.
Yeah, that's what that was.
All right, well, we talked about unfair situations in the B site. Rob's alone again. Apex on the wrong side of this.
Spirit trying to go do a bit of a shake-up on the timing as well.
But they don't have the bomb. They're not actually thinking about walking out to punish this. They don't have the read on the map that we do right now. And Tenir has to go grab it.
It's going to delay things, but at the same time, Vitality...
They're just hoping that they overthink it. This quick cap
Правильно читают, правильно. Выход на Б надо. Все, красавцы, просто заходим. Заходим. Чего они стоят?
His headshots have been instantaneous. Chopper hiding out in the corner. If middle gets found out, or Vitality going to take a swing at this with man advantage?
Yeah, they got to. I mean, I think they definitely must.
Right now, we've got the defuse kit on Flamesy.
We've got good utility, really.
Flashbangs for Apex.
No smoke, but Molly to work with.
Tease smoke off tunnels themselves. That's going to cut off half of this retake. And Zywoo just leaning back, trying to hold that window for any kind of a push. Now Apex chucks those nades forward. And incendiary burns, but it doesn't dislodge any kind of a defender. Instead, Shiro on that smoke. And as they jump,
ай, красава просто. Лучший.
makes the difference, secures the exits for Spirit, and cuts that lead down to 1.
They tried to flash it the other way. Shiro didn't have anything to watch for that moment. They can't wait that smoke out long enough. And the round is won. Team Spirit have won 3 rounds without Dong at all. I think Dong's got to look over now and go, fine, we can be friends again. Okay, he drew a little aggro right here. Give him that. That's just a perfect move from Shiro. When you watch Shiro sometimes, it always feels like he's in a clutch.
Right.
You know, like he's so aware of everything that can happen to him, multiple players.
Yeah. Just eternally in the clutch. Here we go, though. Vitality want to make a move. Cat pounce. Donk, he will happily sign up to this fight when he deems it time to duel. Zywoo just escapes through smoke. And so the chance at that early duel fizzles out. We get the fallback out of Rops, who's no longer working alone over towards that B site. Messi takes the anchor roll. Rops was floating around middle for the start of this.
Кстати, мои хайлайты есть. Я несколько шортов раньше давно выкладывал. Когда я был в прайме. Записывал, делал. Несколько шортов есть.
We're almost as old as baseball.
What was that once smoked catwalk with Zywoo behind it is now just Donk going over, extending and clearing it. Right? No resistance from the bricks. Donk feels like he's found space, and Zywoo's going to have a missed opportunity at an opening kill this round.
Yeah, that cuts it down to 2 here to defend. This attack is coming in. We actually get by this.
Messi,
ой, красавчик просто. Турнир лучший. Ой, лучшие просто. Все. 4-4. Слава тебе, Господи.
Yeah, they're moving deadly right now. That was so surgical. Zwei getting by, I feel like, on the rotation of the smoke. Very close moment for him. Close moment for him. Doesn't mean he would have died even. There was only a 5-7 to defend there versus Rops. But Rops so far, I think, over the course of 3 B-holes has gotten 1 kill. He's not an easy guy to take out, only getting 1. They've done that a couple of times. They would love to
Надо убить, надо убить.
But Spirit aren't going to let that happen.
Надо выбить. Лапится калаш.
Flamesy at least secures 1 as Apex dies towards the A site.
Отдали еще один калаш.
Tight game, folks. 4 rounds straight from Spirit. And it's not been fueled by Donk.
No, not at all. It's like both good for Vitality. They found their rounds countering Donk and then closing. And then also the fact that Spirit made the comeback entirely, you know, without him even really getting started. You got to kill here at least. But. And you know what's funny about Donk's stat on Dust 2 being a 1.61 rating over 12 months, like unreal. He does start slow sometimes.
Well, this round's fast. Already onto the corner of long. Starting to feel like the momentum's shifting to Spirit, and I think within that momentum is where Donk's gonna calm down, we'll say. Look for his chance to shine within this map again. A lot of long control here for Spirit. 4 players strong. Zwei solo to the top of middle. And Mezzi's still stuck on the left side of mid, but Apex burned back, not entirely dealt with. Does anybody just send a few bullets through?
Yeah, he could get spammed, but this smoke is huge.
Yeah, but once that smoke fizzles out, are they just going to take the chance on Apex? He sees that offer climbing up on the ledge, and he knows better. He's got to get out of there. Smoke fades.
Zwei has had trouble in this green box position before. They've used him here a couple of times. Not in this map, but...
Ooh, Apex right
Что
back
что
in.
делает вообще? Как он выходит?
That smoke grenade remains. Man advantage taken by Vitality, trying to get one back on the board.
It's
The
a long
all-elusive
way,
fifth.
It's a long way to go. You're at the back of log control, 35 seconds. Zwei's going to try to speed this up.
Especially with ZywOo
And he
sitting
got
on the
kill,
arm.
actually.
Yeah, that's Flamesy dead at least. Pressure on from the catwalk. ZywOo, it's just the one and done. That's ahead of Mezzi. Spotted.
No
Zwei's got another
way.
one. His second to the round. Apex wants to be the hero. Squeezed by Shiro. He'll slide out.
Давай, Звей.
Dan Matisclair gets bomb possession as Robs comes in with that final blow. Big chance for the captain to find that fifth.
They didn't want to blow Zwei's cover there. They tried to call him in late, but he had to come and try to help at some point because they weren't making any forward progress up long. Apex is doing a great job of calling everything out. They hold him there at long. He sits at car a little extra. He takes a few ticks from the molly damage, but he knows Chopper's going to eventually try to push through that smoke. He makes that look like a freebie. That one's really all about Apex. It's a streaky game that gets very close. This half looks far more competitive already than what we saw from the beginning of Mirage.
You know, Apex had a lot to handle this round.
Yeah.
From being stuck behind car to going for the sprays to getting Shiro as he tried to climb over into the pit ledge.
This was actually such a nice try from Zwei.
Agreed.
It's pretty much a done position. If Shiro gets this kill, they actually could win the round.
Threw the fire onto Mezzi as well.
Yeah, yeah. Zwei's been really good this D side.
Nice to see him be a two-sided player after that standout performance as the B anchor. His quarterfinals versus the Falcons will remain a legendary moment for Zwei's evolution in the Spirit jersey. This time we've got players pressed up against the cat play, and a fast-moving Team Spirit could get caught by that flash. Fully blind, but the cover. Good on Chopper. That'll deny Flamesy. That'll deny Vitality. And they've got to be careful. There's $1,000 left in the bank accounts of Vitality.
He's not doing much. They're really losing their grasp of this cat control.
Apex moves off it. Down into the spawn. Looks like Mezzi wants to get into the action of middle instead.
Are they going to try to flash over this? This would be incredibly risky.
I think maybe just wanting to be nearby in case somebody at A can kind of deter Spirit again, or think back to their affinity to go back into the B splits.
For the moment, ZywOo's crossing his toes and hoping they don't split long on him.
Apex tries to stop it on the doorway. Mezzi burns out, and that gets away from him. Luckily, Robs is on the recovery, but the pressure's still going to remain on Catwalk. ZywOo a chance to shine. First shot's good. Second misses. And as boots are found on the bomb site here for Spirit, Apex on the ramp. 3 versus 3. He's flushed upwards. Takes damage in the process as Shiro's hands busy with the plant. Tanir's got the cover, and ZywOo's wallbank's just off the mark.
Хаешка.
Apex, he's got to pick it up. Shiro comes through with the frag to ZywOo, and with that, it's a cat push from Spirit to tie the game at 5.
Oh, they're so comfortable trying to grind out these situations. Lovely kill from ZywOo to stop the momentum coming across Cat. That's about as good as he can do when he was left solo for so long. Took the risk he needed to from car. And just looking at Robs, he finds a great time to
Да, ё-моё!
We come near towards the end of the half, but it's money still matters.
Зачем они решили поменяться ганами в конце?
Yeah, it doesn't even have to run far. That's a great find for him.
Still only 2 rounds left in this half. Team Spirit, 4-0 start, have turned it around. That flashbang could have been fantastic if not for Chopper's cover.
Yeah, and they don't have that scaling flash as they're executing up Cat, so it gave ZywOo an open shot. But limiting it to 1, that's kind of fine for them. I don't think Spirit care. Even Tanir getting tagged by the HE, that's going to happen too.
Better get that spare mouse ready. I don't know if this one survives the half for Donk. The beauty of this half, though, is that while Donk's struggle at 3 and 7 continues,
Ой, Донк, красавчик просто.
The full punish. You're kidding.
The rest of
Ой, лучший просто.
See, that's what we're talking about when we say his
Внизу.
anger is a tool.
Wait a second. Donkey was standing on his head.
Mezzi nothing but a stepping stone. Oh, covered by Dom on an op of all things.
Донг
Still
аватор
ready.
This is going
просто.
to be the hybrid dynamic. Ace, no,
Всё.
Tanir gets one at least.
Rob's 1v5 surrounded by Spirit. Chopper sent in as a scout in a moment. And it's going to be Rob's to unravel that first attempt. Doc running that bomb over to the A site knows this round is in the bag for Spirit.
Yeah, and Rob's is the one to bring some guns into this round to start with, but it's gone after Don gets his 3K. Easy for him. He finally gets some shine in this half.
So
weird how that happened. I mean, you know, sometimes you see the opera get tagged, crossing.
Sure.
You know, they take some damage.
Ай,
They don't just get fully spammed. That's 4 frags here for Dong.
Yes, sir.
2 with the op, 2 with the AK. Zaiwu had one chance to shoot, and that's it. No running away. You see him, you are dead eventually.
That was the biggest wind-up for a mouse smash I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Looked like he was going to dunk that thing, but instead just dunks it on Vitality. I think it's the wallbang
7-5
finisher on
на
Zaiwu
Дасте.
that's really kind of the insult to
сторону.
injury. You know, that's how adamant he is,
Хорошие
that he was going to take that
результаты
fight and he was
Потом
going to hunt
закаты
you
легче
down.
будет.
Yeah.
Commits to it, catches him.
Oh,
The moment you open that smoke.
That was so gross. That was just disgusting.
Yeah,
Big
как он
utility
слетел.
and wants to be a good teammate. The moment that smoke is opened up, it is right back to headhunting.
He's just got to end on a high, doesn't he? 7-7 after that round.
All right, Spirits T-side taking control after that slow
3-back.
start. A moment for, Doc to at least tie up his scoreline.
This is what we want to see in this. More comfortable. His impact's always been there, but he's not shining like he did on Heroic. And I felt that he was going to be the player after Donk and Shiro to solidify the core.
To just unlock it all.
Yeah, I mean, he does have the wit. You know, there is something about the way that Tanir approaches the game. It looks super solid. We saw what he was doing out of Palace.
Если
Very
сейчас
hard
они убьют
spots.
Зайву,
He's creating value where I don't think a lot of players can. The
если они
KD's
сейчас
not
убьют
reflective of
Зайву,
that just yet, but it's been a healthy
7-5.
climb and skill over time here for him. All right, well, Vitality might be a little shaken now. Letting Spirit this far back into the game. The B site, they've been vulnerable. They had to help out Rops. They've called in a couple of assists, but this A split's coming in. Zaiwu up to the plate.
Smoke over, but still able to hold that line. Flash finds him. Second player dead. That's Donk down in the final round of the half, and Zaiwu's going to give
Чё
him something
Зайву
to think
творит
about.
просто?
Good on
Всё,
Shiro to find
пачку.
the answer back.
How did he even get that?
Some kind of a weird line that ends up putting Zaiwu down, and now man advantage still for Vitality, but this long fight could take it back. Sway's going to be found by Flamesy. Doing a good job of maintaining that side of the site at least. Tanir, it's a one and done. Shiro going to show off the clutch potentially. Missed chance.
6-6, нормально.
Distance cuts him down to
Нормально,
size.
нормально.
So Vitality, at the end of this half, find another round for the road.
Офигенно.
If it was their first pistol of the Series 1, it was a hot start, but all of Team Spirit have brought challenge to the table on map 2.
Так, я быстренько вот это сюда поставлю. Так. Ага. Так. Ладно. Хотел пока этот идет обрезку сделать и выложить в шортс. Оказывается, не получится. Ладно.
If I were to tell you that in the face of 2025's #1 team, Donk was 1-5 in opening kills, you would have probably assumed it was a bad half for him and Spirit. And yet here we sit, 6 rounds apiece on map 2 of this semifinals. Vitality with a strong start, but Donk starting to pick up the pieces towards the end of that first half.
It's the best Dust 2 player in the world, but today he has a team. You're not beating the best Dust 2 team in the world without that for Spirit. So it's great they show some levels. Credit to Zwei, credit to Tanir for some rounds. Donk came in at the end, but there was a lot to this, and that's why we end dead even 6-6. Vitality, they made up for Mirage winning a pistol here on Dust 2. Let's see if they can follow a trend and make it 2.
Vitality were able to survive the test of losing both pistols on Mirage. Can Team Spirit do that if needed? Heavy emphasis here on the catwalk. Is this a read for Spirit?
Yeah, heavy. Hallie's prep in some of these positions. So, like with Spirit games lately, you are seeing it for sure.
Timing's a bit early.
Timing is early.
But nobody there. As Donk jumps back, gets clipped on the corner. We get this flood out through middle instead. Vitality with a change of pace, change of direction towards the solo Shiro B site. Zwei takes one down. Shiro tries to strike in the moment of the distraction. Beretta's in control.
They run at it.
Chopper comes up. Team Spirit knew they had to scramble, but here comes Rops. 1 versus 4, surrounded, and with no hesitation, Team Spirit sign up for a pistol round win.
They ran his ass down, and that's what they did the entire way through. Even though they went for that cat play with the flash from Chopper, he also had an HE in his back pocket, ready to crack open the mid-B smoke in case that was the second plan. Perfect to set up Zwei here. And for Shiro to push out the door, fully committing to the crunch, knowing his team is running through, that's the conviction that's going to get you around like this. Yeah, that's exciting for Chopper. That's a plan coming to fruition exactly as you'd expect.
It's nice to see that setup have like 2 layers.
It's plan B, exactly. And you know, you've got to have that. You've got to stay flexible, as Blade likes to say.
За его смуха играет. Короче, у Team Spirit вообще стрельба не идет. Donk 9-8, 7-8, 5-10, 10-8, 7-8 у них.
Could definitely matter on this one. T-sides can absolutely fall flat.
Especially in the face of a well-oiled Team Spirit, because right now I just can't help but think back to Zwei versus Falcons as this anchor, right? That was an evolution in his gameplay.
Please hit this shot. Just love to see that.
It's hard to hit Donk. Kid moves quick.
He doesn't stop moving, yeah. He's like an electron bouncing around. He's Jimmy Neutron. Jimmy Electron.
Еще один молик. Хаешки. Хаешки.
Just ready if Vitality think they can press their issue up through catwalk. Spooky. Saiwu.
Action's about to happen.
Yeah, trying to get the scout shot in. Nothing whatsoever. Total crush of the cat attempt. Apex with a Glock on.
Нормально.
Yeah, not long for this world. Easy conversion here for Spirit.
And a deadpan Xtaz in the background just waiting because, you know, this one was supposed to be a wash. A plant would have been wonderful, but there's no way they were going to give that up easily.
Spirit. То же самое.
2-round gap. There won't have to be any investments. Zaiwu gets an op this round. Oh, no damage on the cross.
The cost of Apex, right?
Also, maybe doesn't want to shoot early. Not at nothing. Not just for damage.
Sure.
They don't know about it yet.
Yeah, catch them off guard. Don't waste it on a Hail Mary through the doorway. Donk, oh, commits to the spray. Gets 80 damage in on Flamesy. It's enough to deter the follow-up immediately for Vitality. Flamesy wants the control guns because Apex still needs one.
I feel like there's been a few plays this game where it's Donk who dies of 2 players who could, and that's been, should be costly for Spirit, but his team has bailed him out. Well, here's a spot, they trade Zwei. kind of works out better for Donk. I mean, Flamesy's health, he's almost not serviceable in this spot. If he had an op, okay, but 19 health as a rifler, that's definitely a huge disadvantage. So no shade to Sway. He was great in B last time, but if you were to have one player alive, I think for Spirit, you'd pick this small man with the pink mouse.
Шорт.
7 days a week.
Все.
Emphasis on the man.
Еще один.
With that pink mouse.
Ай, лучший просто.
That's info too.
Flamesy gonna eat it. Man advantage taken over by Spirit again. You know, they tried to get out from Catwalk last round, got absolutely crushed when they had little to work with. Really didn't feel like, you know, Team Spirit kind of gave a thread for Zywoo to try to pull on with the scope. So now utility over top, he'll try to poster, and Tanir is flushed out of his corner, but I hear that
he's flushed all the way out.
And that's fine, they've got ramp control at 20 seconds. It's a wounded Shiro standing in front of him, but there's the support on the scene. Chopper attacks from behind.
What is this?
Oh, wait, the recovery's real.
Wait, a jumping kill could get this.
Oh, Donk. Yo, he misses the chance at it, but still goes back, and Apex caught.
He's flying.
2 kills to Donk's name. We've got the head-to-head between the two players we always want to see clash. Zywoo in the cover.
Oh, he's covered it.
Fires off the cannon, and Donk will hit the ground.
The full wide swing, 1 mile out. And Zywoo's ready for it.
Chopper так облажался просто.
For him, shutting down that fast cat boost.
Yeah, Chopper climbs up, frazzles everybody on the bomb site.
Yeah, he was trying to freak people out, but he just had a FAMAS.
This nade to kill Flamesy made it feel like that cat push was going to kind of hit a brick wall. They flushed Tanir onto the ramp, and it felt like Tanir and Shiro really couldn't get any kind of a defense going. Much more so Chopper catching them off guard that kept Spirit in that momentarily.
Spirit должен взять сейчас, а то денег не будет.
Great chance here for Vitality.
Yeah, you've got Chopper in a similar place to where Apex started his last round.
Oh,
my goodness. Little flying MAC-10 action, misshot Shiro. No recovery this time inside of sight, and that is Vitality just stomping on your B-hole.
Ooh, that's a good one for Flamesy. I feel like there's a jumping icon on every single one of his kills. They get the op-down. They suffer no damage whatsoever. The CTs will not be able to bring this back. Massively successful position now. 2 good rounds for Vitality.
I feel like I remember seeing a stat at one point this season where it's like the player with the most amount of flying frags is Flamesy. And that's just not a surprise. A specialist in those kinds of aggressive sudden pops. That one's going to catch Spirit off, cost the majority.
Yeah.
And we go tied game, 16 rounds into this map.
That's such a good angle. That was kind of like a Falcon-style B call. Now, the Falcons have been doing so many of those B pops. No mid-B at all. Like, obviously, mid-B, super popular thing to do, but they're not even worried about a mid-lurker, no one up on big box, no one holding long or anything like that, just 5 tunnels, and it's something that can work. You get to the mouth of the tunnel like this, it's not smoked, then yeah, you can make your way out. Shiro obviously could have caught that walking, but it's very important. Obviously, that Flamesy's running and jumping. Fallen talked about this the other day. He said on T-side, like, you know, first guy out. Oh! On T-side, first guy down. Oh my goodness.
Of course, you're gonna just try to pounce. Can Donk do it? No. Oh, Flamesy back-to-back MAC-10 entries into this B-bomb site. This one just posted, knowing that you've killed the anchor in Sway on the doorway. Zywoo wins this round in mere seconds.
That's a euphoric moment for Zywoo with his teammate. Already planning on rushing B, that's as good as it gets.
Man, when we go back to that Mirage T side of Vitality, they look so lost at times. There was no tenacity, there was no pace, there was no gusto in their attacks.
Yeah.
And now here on Dust 2, it feels like they've shed that gunk that bogged them down on the first map.
Yeah, it was like when we got to overtime and everyone just started playing a bit faster.
They got there.
Yeah, it felt like Spirit were going to be able to take it.
And now early days on this T side, evidence they're still there. Little look at the bomb site to try to rack up costs, but this is a very comfortable place for Vitality. 9-8 lead, economy blossoming, 5 players alive,
incredible,
and a B bomb site that's just getting bullied.
And you know, Zywoo's just collecting 1 or 2 here. It's so much impact though. It's an op shot on the mid cross, guarantees the B play with vision on the doors. Clutch in the last round to deny Donk from winning that retake back on A. Zywoo right now. FaZe had a tougher job versus Sway and Shiro that last round. This one he knows is a lot easier. He's like, okay, I don't care if I die. I got a lot of teammates. There's no rotation support here to help. Hallie's getting involved.
Rough couple of rounds now for Sway, right? This is somebody who has shown us stability in that B bomb site lately. And so you'd think that that could end up being a key element of their defense again tonight, but you get slammed by a MAC-10 2 rounds ago, wall-banged in the face by ZywOo in the follow-up. It's not like he's doing anything wrong.
Yeah, I can't blame him for that one. He'll have a better gun this time around, but when you start to count him up, it's all these B defenses, he's dead. That's just the important thing.
It's the brutality of these rounds going to kind of chip away at his newfound confidence, because it seems to me like the tests are just going to keep on coming towards this B site.
They're trying to make it hurt here.
Falcons may not have been able to break down this B site in the face of Sway,
but it was a mental thing.
And Vitality found their mental back on Mirage. They took their beating on the defense, but this is 3 rounds in a row on the attack. Pistol conversion, that's it for Spirit's defense. They've lost their lead, and now pressure up the catwalk. FaZe saw that.
He saw a lot. He's gonna corroborate that right now, but he knows also that CT has to leave.
And just playing in a sea of util.
Yeah, they just need to stop things, because CT side needs to sort of re-arouse suspicion that it could be something else, that they've overfilled new good spots. So they smoke to reset, a pause in the action. Sort of a dead even position. Oh, Dog Smoke misses, I think. Bounce back, doesn't go into the door. Now creates a lurk gap. They're gonna have to not think about that right now.
Sitting in it. Damn, Shiro down to 40. Oh, and Dropper's gonna go down with nothing. They crack that wide open.
Whoa.
How did they just get nothing in that hole?
Vitality have been going shoulder to shoulder. It doesn't matter what side. This is working out.
Long and both ramp players dead instantaneous, and no save will be allowed on Robin's watch.
They call out what the next position is going to be. You got the Goose Molly. There was no op on this round, right?
Shiro just sat over towards ramp.
They just didn't have the money, I don't think. Oh, now it gets really scary. 13-11 the last time they played Dust 2, but a streak of T rounds here that'll make you think the result is going to be a little bit more one-sided. It's a 2-round game in favor of Vitality. Via Miracle winning on Mirage.
Does he have it? No, 2 M4s.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Tanir getting caught off on long as well. I mean, everything just falling like a house of cards.
And what felt like one instant. And I like that you use, shoulder to shoulder. Vitality, like soldiers, have just signed up to these moves as a group.
They're actually just playing to trade.
We've talked about it before, right? When the shortcomings of Vitality started to creep into the season, connective tissue between the players was what was under question. Well, right now, 5 fingers of the same hand, yet again. That is something that allowed this team to be #1 in 2025. On the chase to break records. Vitality showed us what greatness looks like in 2025.
Feels like June was so long ago, but lest we rewrite history, you look back on these recent results, and yeah, they're not winning everything, but how are they ever going to do that? They're still making every playoffs, they're still getting to grand finals, and yeah, they're still picking up chips.
And they've had to sit back while rosters made moves to try to defeat you. That's what happens when you're world's #1. Everybody starts swinging at you. And so in one of the most competitive packs of Counter-Strike teams we've had in the modern era, when the quality of Counter-Strike's at an all-time high, Vitality watch their opponents grow only to step into this top 8 at a playoffs. They just smoke Team Spirit, but Sway's got something up his sleeve. 4 players going by, though. They'll trade a bomb site with guns, 4 tunnels control, sure. This is going to have to be some kind of a miraculous X-Factor moment from Team Spirit, not playing with the kit. ZywOo's got one, FaZe gives good cover, and that Desert Eagle out of Donk is done after just 1. ZywOo's off to make the difference. Chopper, not a 1v3 this time again.
Oh
my goodness, this could be a good night for Spirit, even though it's just one more round.
Standing on 11.
No Eco's back. This team Spirit exists because of Vitality. On that player break, after Austin, every team scrambled to try to make a team that could take down Vitality, and everyone became a little bit more successful, and they spread the wealth. But here we are, one of those rosters. The roster that won Shanghai and still had to make roster moves. That's how in danger they felt.
Again, man. Hit through the doorway. It's an immediate swap out of the AWP.
They have picked up players that have not matured to the level yet of their former lineup and have shown their peaks, but also some valleys, also some inconsistency. Nothing that can compare to players on Vitality. The veterans on this roster. These players have all played the biggest stages.
These players have all lifted the biggest trophies.
Tanir has shown massive potential to earn a chance to play at this level, but playing in a major semi, to play on a stage in front of a crowd like this, he's never done it. And he has proved a lot so far this series, absolutely. But when it comes to winning, that extra little bit, Spirit, it appears, they might not have that next level. Vitality, they're in a position to close this out. Their game plan has been 4-1, to B, to A, wherever. The best buy so far in response here for Spirit, 2 ops to work with.
Robs eats that flash, no pounce on it from Tanir. Chopper sitting inside of the bomb site. Shiro's gonna have to hit a zinger. Remember, Vitality still don't know about it, but the second one's still so far removed. So like you said, 4-1 setups time and time again. Like soldiers, Vitality have marched into these bomb sites and found nothing but success. A different look this time and unprepared again. Chopper sits behind this box. Well, with the coverage. As Saiwu prepares himself and Vitality to take this to the grand final.
Oh, baby.
Another flawless round.
Saiwu is an owl. The way he is so sharp at adjusting to anybody coming out